Thinking about retirement? In this video, we rank all 50 states from worst to best for retirement based on the factors that matter: cost of living, healthcare, retirement taxes, quality of life, and weather. Warmer states have an extra edge because most people don't spend decades working a crappy job just to retire somewhere that feels like the top of Mount Everest in winter. Some states are affordable, but fall apart when it comes to healthcare. Other states have a great quality of life, but the taxes and housing costs crush a retirement budget. This ranking looks at the full picture so you can see which states offer the best value for retirees and which ones are all hype. Whether you're planning to retire soon, move to a warmer state, or just want to see where your state ranks, this video breaks it all down from 50 to 1. Let's take a look. Number 50, Alaska. Alaska is beautiful, tax-friendly, and completely wrong for a ranking where warm weather matters. Financially, it's ranked 26 overall, mostly because the taxes are low and there's decent, affordable healthcare. But once you factor in the long, cold seasons and geographic isolation, it becomes retirement on hard mode. Unless your dream retirement includes buying thermal socks in bulk. Now, Kiplinger notes that Alaska has no personal income tax, so taxes aren't the problem here. They also give you a nice little check every year, part of this thing called the Alaskan Permanent Fund, which could be anywhere from $500 to a couple thousand, depending on oil revenues. And that's nice. Doesn't make up for the fact that everything else is very expensive because it has to be shipped from the mainland. Weather is the giant frozen anvil in this state. You also have a shrinking population in an already damn near vacant state. This means a lot of things will be changing for the worse in the coming years if people keep going wheels up on the last frontier. 49, Mississippi. Mississippi looks tempting if you only stare at the price tag. It's ranked 9th in affordability according to WalletHub's 2026 list. But the quality of life and healthcare numbers are the wrecking ball for Mississippi. The Commonwealth Fund put Mississippi dead last overall in healthcare system performances. Warm weather helps, but warm and cheap only get you so far when the medical side looks like it lost a bar fight with a wolverine. Is this a surprise to anyone that Mississippi's on the bad side of another list? You know you suck when I have to explain to people that dirt cheap isn't really worth it here. Most people would rather live in a van at a North Carolina Walmart than a house in Mississippi. 48, Louisiana. Louisiana has warmth and a relatively low cost of living, which sounds great until the rest of the report card slides across the table. They ranked 46 in quality of life and 46 in healthcare, and Bankrate put Louisiana last in its 2025 retirement rankings. This is one of those places where the climate says vacation weather and the retirement data says maybe keep the moving truck in park. Louisiana also has high crime rates in almost every corner of the state. Baton Rouge, Shreveport, Lafayette. Lake Charles is a nightmare, and New Orleans, even though it's getting better, is still pretty dangerous. Throw in all the weather events they have and the swamp smell to most of the state. I wouldn't retire to Louisiana, and that's why they're 48th. 47, West Virginia. West Virginia is affordable enough to lure people in, and Kiplinger notes that Social Security here is fully exempt in 2026. The problem is everything else. This is a state with extreme poverty, and there's really no light at the end of their poverty tunnel. Sure, politicians make promises, programs are started, but at the end of the day, most of this state lives near or below the poverty line. WalletHub ranked them 41st in quality of life and 50th in healthcare, so even with the new tax breaks, it still feels like a budget pick with too many negatives bolted on the hood. I love West Virginia. Beautiful state. Great people. The jobs outlook and poverty, not so much. Now, if you're retired, chances are that doesn't really bother you. You don't need a job, at least in some cases. If you're a retiree on just Social Security, this is one of the best states to try and make that work. You just got to put up with a whole bunch of nonsense. 46, Oklahoma. If affordability were the whole game, Oklahoma would be strutting around like a serious contender for the championship. Their quality of life sucks, their healthcare isn't great, and when it comes to affordability, yeah, it does look kind of nice. It's just you gotta live in Oklahoma. That's the real downside. I know a few people that have moved to Oklahoma over the last, let's say, decade or so. Not one of them is totally thrilled with the move. They always kind of explain it like they got an affordable house that's nice, and that's all. But warm weather kind of keeps it from hitting the true basement in this list. The rest of the package is still a leaky canoe filled with disappointment, depression, and disillusion. 45, Kentucky. Kentucky doesn't fully crater because of taxes. The state fully exempts all Social Security benefits from state income tax. Additionally, Kentucky offers a deduction of up to $31,000 on other types of retirement income, such as pensions, 401k plans, and any other kind of retirement you have. Now, when it comes to the quality of life here, it's not the greatest. Kentucky is a beautiful state, but it's lacking in a lot of different things, and that's why they're ranked 42nd in quality of life. And their healthcare, you'd think it would be better, but it's not. They're actually ranked 47th in healthcare, and that is because a lot of rural communities are far away from big hospitals. The hospitals they do have are decent, great doctors and nurses, it's just the access. So the state ends up feeling like a place where retirement might be affordable, but not especially easy. And it's not a catastrophic type of situation. It's just not great. 44, Arkansas. Arkansas is cheap, very cheap. They're actually considered the 11th most affordable state for retirees. And then the trapdoor opens because it was 50th in quality of life and 45th when it comes to healthcare. Side note, you might see me rank these at the same level. Like I think there's another 45th for healthcare here. It's because they were tied. If you retire here, you're mostly betting that low everyday costs can compensate for a very rough overall retirement environment. And that's a pretty bold wager for your golden years. I don't know if most people would want to do that, but it is a beautiful state. That's something they often get overlooked for. Arkansas is a beautiful state. Some of the small towns, though, not so much. They have two of the most dangerous cities in the United States. Pine Bluff and Little Rock. I had a friend in the Army who was from Arkansas, and I'd gone there a couple times, go fishing, some of the other guys too, and it was a nice place, and I asked him one time, well, how come more people don't move here? And he said, because half the state's idiots. And I thought he was joking. He goes, no, they're just really dumb here sometimes. He wasn't being sarcastic, he was being very matter of fact. It's like if NASA landed in Arkansas looking for intelligent life, they might come up empty-handed. 43, Alabama. Alabama gets some help from the warmth and the price. Wallet Hub ranks them 8th for affordability, which is not bad. But the state is 43rd in quality of life and 48th in healthcare. On paper, this one looks pretty good. I mean, the healthcare is pretty scary, the cost of living's really low, the quality of life isn't great, but you could save a lot of money by living here. But do you want to? Alabama's the type of place you got to do a lot of research when you're looking for the right town for retirement. Don't just assume this one's great because it's affordable. 42, North Dakota. North Dakota is one of the biggest weather casualties in this whole ranking. Winters here can be best described as the frozen tundra. Now this one's a little bit of a mind blower when you're talking about North Dakota. Their healthcare is pretty good. They're actually 7th in healthcare ranking. For a state that's got a lot of small towns far away from any big cities, that's a pretty good number. That tells me they got a lot of clinics that are doing good work. Now they do tax retirement income, but it's not horrible. Overall, it's a pretty affordable state. But if warmer is better, North Dakota walks into the room wearing a parka and immediately loses points. If you can handle that kind of winter, North Dakota is great if you love peace and low taxes. Less great if your knees hate Februaries. And if you're younger and don't get that, you will someday. 41, Nebraska. Now, Nebraska is one of those states that's quietly been getting a little bit better every single year. Nebraska is not terrible at anything dramatic, which is a slight compliment, but it's still a compliment. They're not the most affordable place, and their quality of life is middle of the road. Their healthcare, though, is pretty decent. They're ranked 19th in the nation. What really gets this one, though, is the housing is affordable and Social Security is exempt there. Now, the houses are affordable, but the property taxes keep people feeling like they've made a horrible mistake once a year. Is this a hidden retiree paradise? Not at all. It is the Midwest. Midwest has very cold winters. And really, there's not a lot to do in Nebraska. They love their college sports, though. Actually, I love their college sports. I watched Nebraska play Vanderbilt during March Madness. It was a pretty good game. 40, Kansas. Kansas is the definition of a practical retirement state that nobody writes poetry about. They're middle of the road in affordability and middle of the road when it comes to quality of life. And guess what? They're sort of middle of the road when it comes to healthcare as well. It's manageable, it's modest, and mostly unsurprising. And uninspiring while you're at it. Which sounds rude until you realize that retirement sometimes likes boring. The issue is it's not warm enough, and it's not strong enough in other stats to make it further up on this list. People are wonderful. Lawrence is a neat place to visit, and they get tornadoes every once in a while to spice things up. All in all, Kansas is just kind of meh. 39, Indiana. Indiana is affordable enough to stay out of the cellar, but it gets clipped by weather, health, and quality numbers. far as affordability, they're not doing bad. They're ranked 14th in the nation. Quality of life is middle of the road, 35, and their healthcare is 41. That's not so great. So yes, your money stretches a bit, but the rest of the experience can feel like you bought the economy seat and discovered that the armrests are sticky. If you want to save a whole bunch of money and you have a death wish, retire to Gary, Indiana. That's a perfect spot for that. That city's been losing people for so long. It's only people that can't afford to leave are still there. It's also in the Midwest, and like all Midwest states, the winters can get brutal. You don't have to be in the upper Midwest to have brutal winters. They all get them. Sure, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, North Dakota probably really, knock it out of the park when it comes to miserable winters, but Indiana and Kansas and Missouri and Iowa, they're no slouches either. 38, Iowa. The pinnacle of retirement boredom can be achieved in Iowa. Like I said, some people that are retiring, boredom sounds pretty good. Sit back, read a book, not worry about too much. But Iowa did pretty well in Wallet Hub's overall ranking. The weather, like I just mentioned, it sets it backwards on the list. The state is 17th in affordability and 11th in quality of life. That is outstanding. Yet the colder climate makes it harder to justify over warmer states that are at least reasonably competent. This is one of those places where the data says this is a great state, but the weather whispers, put a helmet on, you're going to war. And for the next 5 months, you battle frigid temperatures. The good news, if you want to buy some real estate here, it's still reasonable, and it's a decent place to live. 37, South Dakota. Everything I said about North Dakota, I could say about South Dakota. South Dakota's just a hair better. It's not as cold. It's not as boring. It's almost as affordable. And their healthcare is a little bit better. It's actually 4th, and North Dakota was 7th. But their quality of life ranking is only 25, so it's middle of the road. People always point out the cool things about South Dakota, like you can go see the Badlands, you can go see Mount Rushmore, go to Sturgis. Those are great to see once. I'd rather go hang out at Deadwood. That's a very interesting town with some amazing history. So they're great on taxes also, so that's nice. And they're respectable healthcare. Outstanding. Not exactly a flip-flop retirement brochure, but it is the Midwest and considered the upper Midwest at that, so it does get some pretty cold winters. Dress accordingly. 36, Montana. Montana has the scenery that makes people do reckless things with Zillow, but Wallet Hub had it at 36 in affordability and 23 in healthcare. They do better, but they get that ever-present climate penalty. Even though it's kind of rugged and it's kind of cold, it's become very popular with very wealthy people in recent years. So if you retired with a whole bunch of money, go retire to Whitefish, Montana. It's not as expensive as places like Jackson, Wyoming, but it's really nice if you got the money to go play golf every day. 35, Illinois. Illinois lands here because it's a weird mix of strengths and annoyances. As far as their quality of life goes, it's 14. Now keep in mind, the entire state is not Chicago. I know that's hard to believe, especially if you watch too much cable news. There are some really nice parts of Illinois. Sure, they tax too much and their government's got a lot to be desired. But once you get past all that, their quality of life is pretty good. Now, when it comes to taxes, they're ranked dead last. Their taxes are horrible. And their healthcare isn't great. It's ranked 30th in the nation. So the state gives you some urban amenities and medical access, then it reaches into your wallet like they forgot you were supposed to be relaxing. 34, Tennessee. Tennessee sounds amazing on the tax front because Kiplinger notes that there is no state income tax, meaning pensions, Social Security, and retirement distributions are not taxed. More and more states are eyeing this, so if you watch this a year or so from now, other states may be on board with this whole no taxing retirement thing. So that's all great. You save some money moving to Tennessee, and that's when you get hit with the folding chair. The quality of life here is 47th. Their healthcare is ranked 44th. Those are not good numbers for a state that has been popular over the last decade or so. The warm weather does keep it out of the basement, so that's a plus. And I know they do have some mountainous areas that get pretty cold, but overall Tennessee is a fairly warm southern state. If it wasn't for the healthcare though and that quality of life score, those are not good. Tennessee would do a lot better on this list. They'd probably have to get rid of Memphis too to help them out a lot. 33, Texas. Texas has warmth, no state income tax, massive variety of things to do. Kiplinger notes that retirement income is not taxed by the state at all, and that helps a lot. But their rankings, not so great. Texas is only 38th in quality of life and 39th in healthcare, and Bankrate's 2025 study put them 49th overall in retirement. So yes, the tax setup is good, everything else is doing its best to start an argument. Now I know Bankrate had them at 49th, I don't see it that good because their weather is decent, it's nice, it's warm. I think 33 is a good spot for them. 32, Oregon. Oregon has a milder climate than the Midwest and the Great Plains, which keeps it from sliding further down this list. They're ranked 43rd in affordability and 24th in healthcare. That is one reason I love Oregon. Their healthcare is decent. Their affordability, though, is not great. There was a time Oregon was known to be a very affordable state, and then everyone moved up here, and I'm one of them, and I apologize to all true Oregonians. I am one of them. It made things more expensive. That's not the only reason, but it's part of the reason. But as far as retirees that love the great outdoors, it's hard to do better than Oregon, unless your idea of the outdoors is laying on a beach someplace. This is hiking, camping, fishing, bird watching. These are all great in Oregon. If they weren't so expensive, they'd be better on this list. 31, Washington. Washington's weather is milder than New England and far kinder than the Dakotas, but it's still not the warmth champion of this list. Kiplinger notes that there is a no personal income tax, though the state does levy capital gain taxes on some of the higher earners. Now, I will also mention, just recently, Washington did add an income tax, but that is to only people that make over $1 million a year. I don't think it's going to last long because it's already going to court over it. That's something that Washington prides itself on, no state income tax, and this is kind of not a good thing. It's not a good look for them, especially because they kind of promote that they have no state income tax. But the lawsuits are lined up, so we'll see how that happens. WalletHub gave Washington the 17th place in healthcare ranking, which is great. 46 for affordability, that's not great. So you can get some good healthcare, you're just going to be paying for it through the nose, but not in taxes, unless you make over $1 million. 30, Wyoming. Now, this one is weird because I totally disagree with WalletHub on this one. They ranked Wyoming number 1 overall. Why? They're not necessarily a warm place. Their great outdoors is amazing. They are affordable. Their healthcare is 33rd. That's not great. Almost nobody lives in the state, so that could be good or bad depending on what kind of person you are. And they have no personal income tax. I don't agree with the overall number 1 thing because the weather, it really brings people down, and the healthcare is not great. And that matters a lot to retirees. My opinion is Wyoming is a great place to admire from a postcard while wearing gloves indoors or visiting occasionally. Lack of any legit airports too, that's a real bummer. 29, New Mexico. New Mexico benefits from the warmth and the lower cost of living. These are things a lot of the western states get. Not the coastal western, just the western states. WalletHub ranked them 44th in quality of life and 36th in healthcare. Those aren't the greatest numbers, and the state struggles with crime just about everywhere. If you like sunsets though, golf, and fairly affordable living, it's not a bad place to live. The states where climate and culture keep things interesting, but the overall retirement environment still has enough loose floorboards to keep it out of the top half of this list. 28, Ohio. Ohio is solidly practical. WalletHub had them at 13th in quality of life, 22nd in affordability, and 38th in healthcare. Now, their quality of life is decent because it is a Midwest state that they're just decent people. I know you want to bring up Toledo and Cleveland as just horrible places to live, which, yeah, they kind of are, but that's not the whole state. Ohio has a respectable middle-class formula if you don't care much about the winter. And Ohio definitely has some winters. So unless global warming really starts helping them out, they're going to stay here in the middle of the road. 27, Michigan. Michigan has more going for it than people from warmer states like to admit. WalletHub has them at 16th for quality of life and 29th in healthcare, 32nd for affordability. Those are not horrible numbers. We've had much worse on this list already. So it's not a train wreck, just a state that gets kneecapped here because cold water, gray winters, and snow are not exactly a retirement love language for most people. And as I've brought up in many lists recently, Detroit's turning it around. It's got a long way to go, but it's getting better. But most people don't retire to Detroit. There are far better towns in here. Grand Rapids is not a bad idea. But yeah, Michigan's 27th. 26, New York. New York survives the lower ranks because its healthcare is pretty good. The Commonwealth Fund ranked them 6th overall for healthcare system performance, and WalletHub had its retirement healthcare rank 12 for them. Part of this is New York City, where almost half of the state's population lives. And for a city that size, having good ratings in your healthcare is pretty good. I mean, they got buttloads of hospitals, clinics, and urgent cares. Sure, you could use a few more, but when you factor in the whole thing, it isn't terrible. Now, the biggest problem with New York is the affordability. Again, majority of the people move to the city area, but if you go upstate or something, it gets a little bit cheaper, but it's still more expensive than 90% of the states. When it comes to affordability, WalletHub ranked them 50th. Last place, folks. It's a great place to retire if you could afford it, but most people retiring can't afford that. 25, Vermont. Vermont is one of the more beautiful states we have, and people that retire there really love it. Obviously, you gotta be okay with the snow. I mean, it's New England. We've all seen the pictures of winter in New England. It's beautiful. Living there, that's a little bit harsher, but it looks nice. WalletHub ranked them 3rd in quality of life and 10th in healthcare, which are solid numbers. The reason they're 25 and not better, because it is a beautiful state and it's got a lot going for it. It is just cold and it is expensive. New England is just one of those expensive places here in the country, just like the South is dirt cheap most of the time. Vermont's also a little heavy on the taxes, so it ends up as a lovely place to visit and a niche place to retire well. 24, Rhode Island. Rhode Island's a very interesting state because it's often overlooked. I mean, beyond the fact that it's just a tiny little speck of the United States. One thing they do have is pretty good healthcare. The Commonwealth Fund ranked them 4th overall for healthcare system performance. That's excellent, but the affordability is where Rhode Island takes it in the pants. Again, New England, it's going to be more expensive than most other states. And the people are rude and abrasive, so I don't know how fun it would be to retire there. I just know if you don't mind cold, you got a lot of money, and you need good health care, this is a place to move. For everyone else, retire elsewhere. 23, New Jersey. New Jersey is a lot like New York, with slightly less theater and slightly more suburbs. WalletHub gave them a strong 9th place when it came to healthcare ranking, but only 45th in affordability. Yes, New Jersey is expensive. All the jokes you hear about it, you think it's a not that desirable place to live, but it actually is. And if you don't know, if nobody wants to live someplace, it's going to be affordable. If people want to live there, they end up ranked 45th in affordability. You do get taxed on your retirement, but there are some ways to soften that blow. They have some ins and outs there. That doesn't change the fact that New Jersey is a very expensive state. Even their bad neighborhoods are pretty expensive. And if you only know New Jersey from what you see across the Hudson from New York, you're missing the best part of this state, 'cause their rural areas are really nice. Just too damn expensive. 22, Connecticut. Connecticut is easily one of the least desirable states in New England to move to for retirement. Unless you are uber wealthy, this place sucks. Connecticut has this weird thing. They've got some really run-down cities and they got some really bad small towns, but at the same time, they have some of the wealthiest zip codes in the country because all the people that are worth millions and millions from New York City, finance, banking, stock market, whatever, they buy homes in Connecticut. But Connecticut is medically strong and financially, it's annoying. WalletHub gave them 6th in healthcare, but 44th in affordability. Now, if you are the type who prioritizes specialists, hospitals, and polished suburbs over bargain living, Connecticut starts to make sense. If not, it feels like you're paying luxury pricing for retirement in a cardigan. 21, Wisconsin. Wisconsin lands right on the border between actually pretty solid and too cold for this nonsense. If you follow this channel long enough, you know I love Wisconsin. It's one of my favorite states. It goes Oregon, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. Vermont's after that someplace. Wisconsin has a really cool stat that most people overlook. No, it's 2 stats. 1, more people that retire from Wisconsin stay in Wisconsin than any other per capita in the country. It's the same thing for college students. They get out of high school in Wisconsin, they go to a college in Wisconsin, and they stay in Wisconsin at a higher rate than any other state. Now that stat is about 4 years old and I haven't found an update on it, but that's how it was 4 years ago and I'm sure it's very similar to this day. Where Wisconsin really shines is their quality of life. They're actually ranked 9th in the nation and 18th in healthcare. Affordability, middle of the road, they're 24th. That's a strong overall profile, but the weather pulls it down because many retirees are not itching to celebrate March by scraping frost off their windshield again, or having to work a snow blower, or even worse, a snow shovel. I've only had to do that a couple times in my life. I remember the first 5 minutes going, this is kind of cool. I'm shoveling snow. And then I was like, I never want to do this again. 20, Utah. Good news. You don't have to be a Mormon to retire in Utah. But if you are willing to jump on that Mormon train in retirement, they'd be happy to have you. Utah has a lot of quiet strengths, good health numbers, decent quality of life, and a cleaner reputation than many other states lower on the board. The issue is the taxes and the weather. Kiplinger notes that Utah taxes most retirement income, even Social Security. Retirees can claim some tax credits though, so that's a plus. All their other stats are kind of middle of the road. Safety's decent, good hospitals. There's some people are going to bring up the fact that there's some crime in Salt Lake City, but overall, this is a very, very safe state. I always love that whenever they have a little bit of crime someplace, there's always someone in the comment section talking about how bad it is and this is a very dangerous place. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's like everyone's trying to gain street cred by a comment section about their town. They always act like their crime is the absolute worst, and I just want to stop and go, you need to get out more. Quit watching just your local news and thinking that kids turning over a soda machine at the park is high crime. 19, Idaho. Idaho's been a retirement darling for quite a while, but the shine has dulled just a little bit. Wallet Hub ranked them 21st in affordability and 24th in quality of life. Their healthcare, middle of the road also. Now, Kiplinger says that the state taxes most retirement income. That sucks, but not Social Security. So that's okay. It's still attractive if you want quieter living in a scenic space. It's a state that's growing. The cities are being modernized. A lot of people are moving there, not just from California. And it's because it's one of the most desirable states we have right now. Like I always tell people, if you don't want people moving to your state, start running it like Mississippi. If you're the type of person that's looking forward to a whole lot of fishing in retirement, Idaho's a great option. Number 18, Massachusetts. Yes, they should be so much better, but they're so damn expensive. Massachusetts is a heavyweight in the healthcare and overall living standards. Wallet Hub ranks them second in quality of life and second in healthcare. That is outstanding. But this is elite territory, and it takes an elite income in retirement to live here comfortably. Wallet Hub ranks them 48th for affordability, so that should tell you something. Better be sitting on a pile of cash to move to Massachusetts for retirement. But if you want world-class hospitals and business-class turbulence with your wallet, this is a great option. 17, Maine. Yep, sticking with New England again. Maine is one of the states that would finish much higher if it wasn't for the cold. Bankrate has them second overall, and Wallet Hub has them as fourth in quality of life and 14th in healthcare. Those are great numbers. But if your ideal retirement involves warmth, sandals, and not planning your errands around weather reports, Maine slides down despite otherwise being a pretty good place to live. It's beautiful. Was there, I guess a year ago, September, October? It's a beautiful state.
This is Bar Harbor, Maine. I'm going to show you it right now.
I went to Portland, went to Bar Harbor, went to Kennebunkport, had far too much lobster. Actually talked to a guy named Curly for a while. His hair was straight. I don't know where Curly came from, but he was kind of weird. I don't believe he was homeless, but when he walked away, I noticed he was wearing 2 different shoes. Maybe that's his kink. I don't want to hate on him or anything. But yeah, other than Curly wearing 2 different shoes, it was a nice place. I wouldn't mind living there. I wouldn't mind retiring there, actually. 16, Nevada. Nevada gets a major boost from taxes and climate. Kiplinger notes that there's no state income tax, so retirement income is untouched, and the warmer weather helps with a lot of the different formulas that go into something like this. Because when you're talking retirement, you really have to consider the weather. Retirees stop saying they want to move someplace with 4 seasons and say they want to move someplace that's warmer. Now, the reason that Nevada is so high on this list, and it could be better because of the cost and all that, it's their quality of life is 45th. That's not great. And their healthcare is 42nd, but it is pretty affordable. Taxes are low, and it is warm. And there is plenty of things to do. Number 15, Maryland. Maryland is the classic high floor, limited ceiling retirement state. The Commonwealth Fund ranked them 7th overall in healthcare system performance, and WalletHub had them at 20th for quality of life. So the basics here are strong, but it's not cheap, and it's not especially warm compared to the best Sunbelt options. A good state, yes. A magical retirement cheat code, not so much. It does have some crime, but one thing it stands out, it's near a lot of things to do. I mean, DC is right there, Pennsylvania's right there in case you're a Civil War enthusiast or Revolutionary War for that matter. And keep in mind the entire state is not Baltimore, but their healthcare and quality of life are not bad at all. 14, Missouri. Missouri sneaks up on people because it's not flashy, but it can be practical. WalletHub has them as 10th in affordability. Another really cool thing, back in 2024, they passed a law where they no longer tax your Social Security benefits. So that's nice. They also lowered the rate that they tax all your other retirement income. Just a hair, but it's down a little bit. So they're affordable, plenty of things to do, wonderful nature. Their quality of life and healthcare are right in the middle. They both are mediocre, nothing to get excited about. If they were a little bit better, they'd probably crack the top 10. 13, Georgia. Georgia gets help from the climate and the tax treatment. Retirees 62 and older can exclude up to $35,000 from retirement income, and those 65 and older can exclude $65,000, with Social Security not being taxed at all. WalletHub ranked them the 16th overall on affordability and the 40th in quality of life, which isn't great. They're also 40th in healthcare. If it wasn't for those two stats, Georgia would probably be number 5 on this list. But the warmth and the retiree tax breaks really pull them up a little bit. Because if they didn't have those, I'm sure they'd be dropping out of the top 25. Number 12, Hawaii. Hawaii is a strange beast in this ranking. The weather is incredible, the health profile is strong, and the Commonwealth Fund ranked Hawaii 2nd overall in healthcare systems. WalletHub had them at 49th in affordability though, so that's the bummer. They do have some retirement taxes, but Hawaii gets this low on the list because it is just beautiful, the weather is amazing, and they have great healthcare. If you can afford it, it's one of the best options in the country. Number 11, California. California is probably the best example of why weather alone can't win this. WalletHub had them at 8th in healthcare, which is solid, and the Commonwealth Fund placed them at 19th overall. They were tied with someone else. Those are respectable. The climate helps enormously. Unless you're in Death Valley or up in the mountains someplace, for the most part, California's got perfect weather compared to many other states. San Diego is often said to be the best weather in the United States. Los Angeles isn't that far behind if you can get past all the smog. Their healthcare is ranked 8th overall, which is not bad at all, but they come in 39th in affordability. Kiplinger calls it the worst state to retire when it comes to taxes, with rates that can reach 13.3% for higher earners. California offers an amazing retirement lifestyle if you got the money. That's the trick. You have to have the money to live here. Sort of like Hawaii, just not as tropical and nice. Number 10, Minnesota. Minnesota is a cold weather overachiever. WalletHub ranked them 7th in quality of life and 1st in healthcare. Yeah, they got the Mayo Clinic here. You know, that's just one place, but they've got a lot of really good hospitals. The Commonwealth Fund still has them at 15th overall, but I'm calling them 10th. I think Minnesota could do a lot better too, but it's just that cold. That cold wears people down, especially Minnesota cold. If you're one of the few people that doesn't really mind snow, like myself, it could be a great place to retire, especially if you need specialists in healthcare. Number 9, New Hampshire. New Hampshire is another state that loses only because of weather. Bankrate ranked them the best state to retire in 2025, and Kiplinger notes that no state income tax on retirement income is great, with the tax on dividends and interest eliminated in 2025. WalletHub has them at 8th in quality of life and 20th in healthcare, so these are not bad numbers. Those are good positions to be in. Number 8, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is one of the best tax stories in the country for retirees. It doesn't tax traditional retirement incomes, including Social Security, pensions, 401ks, and IRA distributions. They're ranked 5th in quality of life and 14th in healthcare. The climate is more Four Seasons than Beach Chair, which keeps it out of the very top, but it's still one of the strongest in total packages if you want reasonable costs and a state that does not mug your retirement check. I think, my personal opinion, Pennsylvania's strong point are the small towns. They have some of the nicest small towns you will find in this country. including my personal favorite, Honesdale. Number 7, Colorado. Colorado lands here because it's one of the best all-round blends of healthcare, life quality, and decent weather. Now, WalletHub had them 4th overall, but they've got affordability that's 19th and quality of life that's 19th. Healthcare is 3rd. Now, the reason they're not better on this list is going to be the cold, and of course, they do tax some of your retirement. They got some little loopholes and some things you got to jump through, but some retirees can exclude all Social Security benefits from taxable income. It's not cheap, but it is functional, scenic, and medically strong. Even though everyone just assumes the entire state is Aspen sometimes, it doesn't snow all the time here, and their summers are actually pretty warm. Fire season is a nightmare. The air quality drops through the floor, but other than that, Colorado's a great place to retire. Number 6, Delaware, the quiet assassin of retirement rankings. WalletHub had them 7th overall and 3rd in affordability. If you're 60 or older and retired, you can deduct $12,500 from qualified retirement income, while Social Security is not taxed. That's nice. The weather is not tropical, but it's milder than New England and the upper Midwest. Delaware isn't dirt cheap, and it's not terribly expensive. Like all states, it does have some spots that get pretty pricey, but overall, Delaware's not terribly unaffordable. It's just a solid place to live, with nice beaches. Number 5, Virginia. Virginia's the balanced adult in the room. WalletHub ranked them 15th in quality of life, 25th in healthcare, which is decent. If you're 65 and older, you qualify for deductions up to $12,000, while Social Security is not taxed here. The climate is milder than the north, and services are generally solid here. What Virginia really does well is nothing is bad. I mean, nothing is terribly amazing, but nothing is bad. Everything's on the upper positive side of things. Virginia's a really nice state. I love Virginia. I don't think I'd ever live there, but it's decent. Number 4, South Carolina. South Carolina gets all the way at number 4 because it gives you a warm weather lifestyle that a lot of retirees actually want without Florida level fame or some northeastern price tag. WalletHub has them 6th in affordability, though only 37th when it comes to quality of life. Their healthcare is solid at 34. Those are the two things that stop it from going higher. It is affordable. This is another one that has a decent thing for your retirement. Retirement income exclusions is up to $15,000 and does not tax your Social Security. What puts them this high on the list is the weather and the affordability. More and more retirees are heading to South Carolina. They might try Florida for a year or two, decide they don't like it, and they head back a little bit towards New York. They call them halfbacks to South Carolina. And yes, I know I said this before. I know it's not halfway back to New York City. It's just they call them halfbacks. Number 3, Arizona. Arizona is built in a lab for people who think retirement should involve sunshine, dry air, and a patio they can actually use. WalletHub has them at 16th in healthcare, 27th in affordability. Now, 5 years ago, their affordability, they were ranked 19th. So they've been getting a little more expensive. Kiplinger reports that the state has a flat 2.5% income tax that does not tax Social Security and offers pension exemptions for some filers. And it's not a medical superstar. But as a warmer, reasonably managed, retiree-friendly state, Arizona is one of the cleanest fits that I look at when I'm looking for retirement. You just got to get used to that summer heat. It's pretty rough there. Number 2, North Carolina. North Carolina gets close to the top because it blends weather, affordability, taxes better than most states without collapsing somewhere else. WalletHub has them 7th in affordability, and the Social Security is not taxed. WalletHub also ranked them at number 2 in retirement. North Carolina is getting popular with everyone, not just retirees. Over the last handful of years, they've seen a lot of retirees and a lot more digital nomads moving to the state. All right, before we get to number 1, let me know which one you're thinking about retiring to, or did you retire to one of these already? Love to hear about it in the comment section. Don't forget to give the video a big thumbs up. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, Florida. Florida wins this version of retirement because it checks boxes retirees actually talk about at dinner: warmth, tax friendliness, and a lifestyle built around retirement. WalletHub ranked them 2nd overall for retirement and 1st in quality of life. Florida has no personal income tax, so Social Security pensions and retirement distributions are not taxed. They were ranked 27th in healthcare, so that's middle of the road. It's not horrible, but it's not one of the best. Since warmer weather sometimes gets extra weight and things like this, Florida still walks away with the crown wearing sunglasses and ignoring everyone's side eye. It's a little too swampy for me, but this is a state that is built around entertainment and retirees. And if you're a retiree, that's what you're looking for. Besides the weather, there's many other reasons retirees head down there. One, a lot of different services for retirees, a lot of different social opportunities. It checks almost all the boxes except for hurricanes. Hurricanes can get pretty scary, and that stops some people from going there, but I think Florida's still just a great option. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be nice to each other.